Ozzy Osbourne didn't just feud with fellow rock legends, he made public enemies out of entire bands. When Zakk Wylde spat, "Go forget yourself if this is rock" at Ozzfest 1998, Limp Bizkit found themselves on the wrong side of the Prince of Darkness. Years later, Sharon Osbourne ordered EGG's thrown at Iron Maiden's Bruce Dickinson, cutting the sound mid-set as Ozzy watched. These weren't isolated outbursts, they were the battle cries of a man who despised what he saw as bubblegum blasphemy and glitter punch imposters. In Top 6 bands Ozzy Osbourne hated the most, we're diving into rock history's most outrageous grudges, because if Ozzy couldn't stand them, you have to wonder what pushed him over the edge. Metal purists versus new metal upstarts. Few conflicts better capture the musical divide that set the stage for Ozzfest 1998, when Limp Bizkit rolled onto the main stage with backwards hats and an over-the-top toilet prop. While fans packed the lawn, Zakk Wylde, Ozzy's longtime guitarist, bristled at the entire spectacle. In a 2019 interview, Zakk did not mince words. "If I put a Yankee hat on backward, start wearing baggy clothes, that will fix everything? Go F*** yourself if this is rock." For Zakk and the Osbourne camp, Limp Bizkit's brand of rap rock was the antithesis of metal's raw power and authenticity. The band's dominance in late 90s charts only made it worse, as Zakk saw the nu metal wave as watering down everything Ozzy and Sabbath had built. It was not just dislike, it was open mockery. In their eyes, Limp Bizkit didn't represent evolution. They represented everything worth rejecting. Glam metal's rise in the late 1980s was, for Ozzy Osbourne, a daily assault on everything he believed about rock's soul. He didn't just dislike the sound, he bristled at the image. In his memoir, Ozzy compared Poison's look to a glitter punch in my face, dismissing their neon hair and makeup as an act. Success didn't earn respect. Poison's chart-topping singles and sold-out stadiums only amplified the offense. In Ozzy's words, the whole movement was bubblegum blasphemy, plastic riffs wrapped in mascara and empty posturing. While MTV crowned Poison as kings of party rock, Ozzy sharpened his disdain, refusing to see them as equals or even worthy rivals. For him, glam metal wasn't rebellion, it was theater. He didn't just turn away from Poison, he ridiculed their very existence. Stadium crowds and screaming fans. By the end of the 1980s, Bon Jovi had become synonymous with radio-ready anthems and big hair. While millions blasted "Livin' on a Prayer" from car stereos, Ozzy Osbourne watched the scene turn glossier by the day. Unlike his silent contempt for Poison's mascara-soaked theatrics, Ozzy's clash with Bon Jovi played out in the brutal politics of tour billing. At the 1989 Moscow Music Peace Festival, tempers erupted backstage over who would close the show. The promoter slotted Ozzy after Motley Crue, a move he refused to accept. John Bon Jovi, aiming for harmony, offered to swap set times, but Ozzy would not budge. He threatened to walk unless the running order changed, forcing management to reshuffle the headline spots. To Bon Jovi's global fanbase, the switch might have seemed trivial. For Ozzy, it was war, proof that commercial polish had no place above hard-earned darkness. While MTV cameras rolled and pyrotechnics flared for Bon Jovi's headline slot, Ozzy's message rang clear. Stadium-sized smiles belonged behind raw metal. On that night, compromise meant nothing. Ozzy did not just turn down the offer, he made it known that Bon Jovi's brand of feel-good rock would always stand in the shadow of true rebellion. Chaos swept Donington Park in August 1988, when a record crowd of more than 100,000 surged forward during Guns N' Roses' afternoon set. Rain had turned the festival grounds to mud, but nothing slowed the crush when Axl Rose launched into Welcome to the Jungle. Security struggled to hold the barricades as fans fell and were trampled. By the end of the set, two young men, Alan Dick and Landon Siggers, were dead, victims of a crowd collapse only yards from the stage. While Axl shouted warnings, "Don't freaking kill each other," the band's raw energy and mounting chaos overpowered any hope of order. Backstage, Ozzy Osbourne kept his distance from the carnage, later describing Axl as unpredictable in the worst way. No amount of chart success or press could soften Ozzy's view that Guns N' Roses' recklessness crossed the line from rebellion into real danger. The tragedy at Donington became a cautionary tale, one Ozzy would never let slip from memory. For him, the cost of Guns N' Roses' approach wasn't just noise or attitude, it was death in the mud, and an enduring sense that some bands brought more risk than anyone deserved. Ozzy didn't just dislike Guns N' Roses, he viewed their chaos as a threat to everything he'd fought to build. Metallica joined Ozzy's 1986 European tour as hungry upstarts eager to prove themselves. Every night, they ripped through blistering covers of Black Sabbath classics, songs Ozzy himself had built from scratch a decade earlier. While fans roared their approval, Ozzy stood backstage, arms crossed, muttering about "kids in baggy pants stealing my riffs." In a Metal Hammer interview, he later admitted the tribute felt like daylight robbery, with Lars Ulrich's enthusiastic praise only deepening the sting. For the Prince of Darkness, Metallica's homage crossed the line from respect to identity theft. Ozzy didn't just feel snubbed, he saw a new generation rewriting his legacy in real time. Eggs rained down, and the PA system cut out 6 separate times, while Bruce Dickinson, seething, vowed to beat him to a pulp. Over 6 notorious feuds, Ozzy Osbourne's words and actions have left a trail of controversy well documented by interviews, memoirs, and press reports. From Zakk Wylde's public derision of Limp Bizkit at Ozzfest 1998 to Sharon Osbourne orchestrating the infamous 2005 egg attack on Iron Maiden, every incident is backed by eyewitness accounts and direct quotes. Ozzy's memoir, I Am Ozzy, and sources like Metal Hammer and Louder Sound reveal his deep-seated contempt for glam metal, nu metal, and even fellow legends like Bon Jovi, Guns N' Roses, Metallica, and Iron Maiden. Yet, despite hundreds of interviews and tour accounts, the root of some grudges remains unclear. Were these outbursts about sound, image, or pride? What is certain? Ozzy's outspoken rivalries changed the landscape of rock, forcing performers to pick sides and fans to debate loyalties. Today, these confrontations remind us that the politics of music are as fierce as any performance. Etched in fact, not rumor. For Ozzy, hatred was rarely silent, and every feud left its mark on music history.